All right. And I think on that note, we're underway. Okay, so welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to today's wine tasting. We are going to be looking at, actually, it's one of my favourite wineries. In fact, it's one of my favourite wines of all times. Yeah. No, look, these guys do literally my favourite Shiraz. We're not going to see that favourite Shiraz today, Orphan Bank, but we are going to look at their entry level. And we wanted to do, as we've been doing ranges of wine recently, we would decide to have a look at their range of wine. Now, Langmeil is the name of the winery. Langmeil is in the Barossa, down on the Barossa Valley floor. It is actually got some great vineyards, like some awesome vineyards, and it has the oldest vineyard of Shiraz in the world, actually. So that's their Freedom, 1850, I think it is. I think I'm pretty sure it was 1850. So the Freedom vineyard was planted in 1850, and why is it the oldest vineyard, oldest Shiraz vineyard in the world? Anyone want to have a guess?
Because they were pulling them and they saved them.
Not quite. That's the Orphan Bank. That's a good story though. But yeah, Dan.
Well, didn't we have to send cuttings and stuff? We got the
That's
cuttings
right.
and then we
France got
resupplied.
Why did we do that?
Disease.
Yeah. What disease is it? It's very famous. Phylloxera. Yeah. Phylloxera is a little aphid that actually gets into the roots, damages the roots, and then the plant dies from that. It actually came from the USA, and when the USA, when there was a veteran from the USA decided he wanted to have a look at the French cuttings and have a look and bring stuff back to the US, he went over there. Unfortunately, biosecurity wasn't a big thing, and brought phylloxera to the old world, and literally it destroyed everything. When I say destroyed everything, everything starting in Bordeaux, all the way across, all the way up to the doors and the gates of Russia, all the way down to North Africa, all the way, it even nearly got to Madeira, which is the island 1,000 kilometres off Portugal. They lost everything. Now the only thing that would survive against phylloxera was American rootstocks. That's where phylloxera is from. The rootstock could be is resistant against phylloxera, not immune to, but resistant. So what they had to do is they had to then get cuttings. So they'd lost Bordeaux, lost all of its grapes. I think there might be 2% of original left in it, and that 2% is held by, I want to say, Bollinger, and they make a champagne out of that which costs more money than gold. I will one day buy one because I really want to try it, but it is the only original cutting, the original rootstock there. And that is still battling phylloxera. And in fact, I think yearly they're losing a vine or maybe 2 vines. So it will go eventually. However, what they did is they got rootstocks, came back, replanted rootstock throughout the entire old world. So we're talking all of France, all of Spain, all of Portugal, all of Lebanon even, going across to Hungary, Italy, Alsace, Germany, Hungary, Slovenia, Slovakia, Montenegro. All of those are now planted on American rootstock. The problem is though, the American rootstock, which is Vinus vinifera, which is what wine is made out of, is the most part Vinus vinifera grape. They needed to get cuttings again. And because they'd lost all their stuff, they needed to go back to the New World who had cuttings, or who had those vines already growing on original rootstock. Because we took cuttings from them, planted in Australia, and vines are clonal. So literally a Shiraz clone vine, let's say B14, which is a Burgundy clone, was grown over in Australia. It dies over there. They come and get the B14 clone cutting from us. They graft it to the rootstock. They plant it over there, and now they've got B14 Bordeaux, Burgundy Pinot Noir available now to regrow again. So therefore, with all of the old world losing all of its wine, 1850 Shiraz only ever found in Langmeil. 1857 is the world's oldest Grenache, and that's held by Marco Cirillo, again in Barossa. And Barossa itself has managed to avoid most of the phylloxera. Unfortunately, it is there, but they battle it regularly to try and stop loss. So yeah, So that's the big claim to fame for these guys is their Freedom Shiraz, their 1850 Shiraz, which retails for about $300 something a bottle.
Big.
That's their icon, their big winner. My favourites, their Orphanbank, their $85 bottle, which I think is as good, in my personal opinion, and sometimes even better. But they also do an entry-level range. And the entry-level range is coming off mostly their vineyards, and I have to say, whenever I've gone through and done the tastings, and we've done the tastings for these wines a few times, we always find something new and interesting in them. Now, we're going to start off with a Riesling. Remember I would say, oh, this is not your grandma's Riesling? I'm lying this time, it is your grandma's Riesling. So, classically, the original Rieslings that you used to see, and remember Old World is named by regions, regionality. The original region that Riesling was renowned from is a place called, Dan,
Sorry?
come on, where original Rieslings from Germany. So if I said, hi, I want a Riesling, you wouldn't say I would like a Riesling, you would say I would like and the region in Germany that makes Rieslings. No, it's Gewürztraminer. No, that's another grape.
What?
Is Moselle.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's what we call them, Moselles. Now, Moselle was originally a German region on the Rhine Valley. Massive slopes like this. They produce fantastic Riesling. There's a bit of a thing happening at the moment where it has been for the last 10 years where they've been arguing over the bridge they've put across the Rhine Valley, and it's actually shadowing the vineyards, so it's causing a whole bunch of problems. But back in the 70s and into the 80s, Riesling was always sweet. And people go, oh, I hate that sweet Riesling, blah, blah, blah. Since then, Australia has actually made a dry style Riesling, and in fact, 99% of the Rieslings in Australia are dry style. Dry style means it's got high acidity, low sugar, like less than 2 grams of sugar, usually lemon, lime, those lemon lime cordial notes to it. This one has been made, grandma's Riesling, so it will have sweetness to it.
That's the reason Nana drank it.
Yeah, that's got sweetness. Not as sweet as it used to be. This has actually been reduced on sweetness.
There's a nice bit of sweet to it.
Yeah.
That's a lovely one.
That's really nice.
For younger drinkers, this is a big winner.
I can see that, yeah.
Yeah.
That's like a 3 to 12-year-old range.
Yeah. Comes on the box.
Oh dear.
Comes on the box like a Lego set.
After 12, your palate starts to kick in.
Oh.
Right, yeah, now the Epstein files are out there, that's good. So, Jesus juice. Anyway, so this is your sweet style Riesling. Now, they literally have made this to be a sweet style Riesling. It is markedly different from what the Rieslings you're going to get from Eden Valley, Clare Valley particularly. This is just a sweet style Riesling, and I think it's really good because it goes really, really well with, those sort of dishes that you like to just sit down and have a nibble on. Surprisingly, exactly what we've got today.
Clare and Eden are
Dry styles.
two better known areas of Australia. Where else do they,
Massively.
where else do they grow up?
Massively. So, Clare Valley has Polish Hill and Watervale. You'll see that name everywhere. Eden Valley, probably the most famous of them is Pusey Vale, Heggies, Rockerjack, Sons of Eden, Freya.
Yep.
So all of these wines are dry styles. This is one of the few sweet styles. In fact, in Australia, Naked Run in Clare Valley does a German style Riesling. Mr. Riggs does an Ein Riesling, which is again German style Riesling. German style being that it's a sweeter style. And the Live Wire from Langmeil. I like it because it's actually different. You can throw this into a Riesling lineup and it actually still stands out as, it still stands as Riesling, which is great.
It's got definitely that fusel nose and all the characters of Riesling.
And then a lemon lime cordial, probably lime lemon cordial.
Yeah, but it's almost like it's got that sweeter style note to it. Yeah, I think it's a really lovely style. It's something that I don't drink personally a great deal myself, but if I was going to have something like a lemon curd tart, that'd be perfect with it. It's just really, really lovely. And following a theme, rosés today, 99% of rosés, or people that ask for, are always dry. I'd like my dry Provence rosé. Now, can you name me a sweet rosé, please, Chatty? Come on, we have it at the store. You get asked for it regularly.
Moscato.
No, not Moscato. No.
Well, there's a rosé Moscato.
There is a Moscato rosé, but it is, it comes in a particularly funky bottle that's been the same bottle since the 70s.
Tooth.
You got it.
Yeah.
Matus, the Portuguese
Yeah,
rosé.
I did not find that sweet at all.
Really? Oh, dude.
I didn't like it.
So Matus rosé is a sweet style rosé. Now, following on from that, Langmeil decided they wanted to do something similar. They wanted to do a rosé that wasn't bone dry, sort of Provence style, which is Carignan based rosés. They wanted to do a sweeter style, and this one actually has a lot more estery notes to it. Not sweet as in sugary sweet. It's got some sweet. It's got a lot more sugar to it than you get from most rosés, but it is really, really fruity and forward with some of those strawberry Turkish delight notes to them as well.
Yeah, definitely get the strawberry.
So yeah, again, it was an intentional decision to be that sweeter style. Again, aiming for a market that this isn't a deadly serious wine, oh my God, we're going to spend time ruminating. This is something you drink, enjoy, and move on.
These have both been nice, easy drinkers. Probably too easy, but they're easy.
Now, everything I've just said about those two wines, everyone's kind of like, oh, it's just a fun, happy, inexpensive sort of thing. The wines are actually $20, so they're not cheap, but they're well made. They're actually aiming for a particular demographic, which even with our store and our demographic, we sell a bit of them. It's good.
I feel like we
No, it is in catalogue too. Yeah.
I feel like we do sell quite a lot of that, the live wire.
Yeah, it's one we're often low on stock.
Yeah.
Floor stack wise, and then the shelves are usually well
and truly taken.
well and truly.
However, whilst those two wines are a really good part of the range, I think Langmeil really shines when it comes to their reds. They've always done really well with their reds for me. They do everything from like their big Shiraz, big rich rounded Cabernets. They do Sangiovese, Montepulciano. They do a Barbera. They do. They've got a whole range of stuff. Grenache, and that's what we're going to look at now. This is their entry level range. So this is again their $20 range, 20 to 25. You'll see it in most wine stores about 25. Sometimes, depending on how much. Which one is it?
Both. That's mine and Chad's.
Okay. You might see it for 27. It's not unusual. We actually have really good trading terms with them, and they're really lovely guys. And the rep for this does really well for us too. So we're actually putting this in catalogue for $20 at the moment. So.
Tasty rosé.
Yeah, nice little rosé, but now we're on to the Grenache. So, now, Dan, do you want to give us a tasting note for the Grenache, please? Okay. Dan, when Dan stops eating,
When Dan swallows.
Grenache, generally Turkish delight are really bright, upfront fruits. Candy apple.
yeah, the toffee apple for me, candy apple. Yeah.
Had a feeling. So I got that alcohol.
14 and a half.
14 and a half, yeah.
So, in Australia, you're going to see that most wines sit between 13.5 and 14.5 and above. Because we are a much, much warmer climate, which means when you're looking at the viticulture of the grape, when the grape grows, hotter the climate, the more nutrients that the leaves will put into it to make it more attractive to the birds to eat it and then spread the seed around the place, they'll make it sweeter and sweeter, which means there's more sugar. So therefore, when you ferment it, you've got more sugar. More sugar turns into more alcohol. So when you pick, you've got to be careful at your picking times. You've got to pick it when it's phenologically ripe, so when it becomes ripe. It's not underripe, it's not overripe. You need to pick it when it's got a baume or a sugar content of about 13.5. The acidity has to be sitting at about 3.4 or 3.2. And what actually happens is you make a wine through the fermentation process. It ends up being about 13.5 to 14. Generally, it's about 14. Maybe it goes to 14.5, depending on the vintage. But you've got to make sure the acidity is there to balance it off. Otherwise, you just get this big cloying sort of style. Now, these guys, however, I think make a really, really good wine. And I believe this is fairly unoaked. If it does have oak, it's lots of old oak to it.
But it's juicy.
Juicy.
Red berries.
Yeah.
Not
Candy
over
apple.
the top. Tannin. It's
Oh.
definitely, like going to the friggin' show and eating one
Yeah.
of those candy apples.
It is. And this is the thing, this is a lighter style though. So, light to medium body. And you can just tell by looking at it. Yeah.
So your hand details to it?
Yeah, you colour it. There's not a deep ruby or anything like that. It's lovely. And the nose. Like you just sit there and you go, oh wow, that has got some really lovely fruit to it. Some red berries. I'd recommend anyone that is really interested in this, learning about wine flavours. There's a thing called the wine wheel. It's developed by a Californian professor, a female professor. I can't remember her name, but she did a great job. Where the outside is like red fruits, blue fruits, black fruits, earth notes, all the way around. And then the next layer under that is all the different ones you can get. And then under that, all the different ones again. Primaries and secondary notes, and even tertiary notes in there.
So you spin the wheel to match up.
Well, no, not so much spin the wheel, but you just got to know the wheel itself. You can spin the wheel, but I mean, you want to know that red fruits are here, and here's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 red fruits.
So you can pick.
You can
between
pick,
what you
yeah,
think.
exactly.
Okay.
The biggest part, though, is that remember that is a cultural thing. So if I said, "Hey Dan," actually, do you eat fruit?
I did once.
Yeah, I did once. All right, hey Chatty.
Yes. It was in a cocktail they gave me at the
If I said, "Have you eaten
There was a
red?"
pineapple on the side of the glass.
If I said, "Hey, have you eaten red fruits?" You could say, "Yeah, I've had cranberries, cherries, strawberries, all those kind of things." Now, let's imagine that you're in Japan.
different groups altogether.
Completely different fruits. So therefore, that wine wheel needs to be adjusted due to the cultural norms of that particular group. I actually have. I've had a couple of students over the years who have been from Asia, and I had to learn a whole bunch of different fruits by going out and eating them. Some of them you can't get in Australia. So I had to go and actually went to a couple of the Asian supermarkets and found dehydrated versions of them to try and get some sort of idea what they're like.
And what are they?
Oh.
Fuji berries? Or?
Oh no, umeshu, yuzu, what's the other? Umeshu, yuzu, sakura, they're plums.
Oh, yeah.
But they're very specific type of flavour of plums. They're not like normal black and red plums. So yeah, so it's a cultural thing. So you can get the wine wheel that has been adjusted for different cultures as well and cultural norms. So yeah, this is great little wine. Like for me, this is really lovely. Easy drinking. Sit on the deck on the hot summer's day. You can have one of these quite merrily. You can even put it in the fridge if you need to drink. But that is a real
It's just so
candy
soft,
apple.
Very gentle.
Yep.
No real tannin to speak of.
No, the tannin is there, but it's very, very light. As we were talking about tannin before, the acidity's there. Like it's got lots of acidity
Yeah.
because my cheeks are watering. But there's not a huge amount of tannin. It's not big grippy tannin or anything like that. Very light, soft, rounded tannins. And in fact, they are, as Dan said, really, really light. Now, our favourite grape varietal blend, GSMs. Okay. So, Adam, going to walk us through what a GSM is.
Typically, if you're going off GSM, it's Grenache, Shiraz, and then is there typically a most common M? Would it be Mataro? Or?
It is, well, it's not always. You can actually get Merlot, but for the most part, it's Mataro or Mourvedre.
Yeah. Chatty's not
sort of-
here yet.
Chatty's not
Oh.
here. Well, he'll just have to wait.
He can wait.
Yeah.
Says that.
Now, the word Mataro and Mourvedre is literally the same word for a different grape, for the same grape.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. In Spain, it's known as Mataro. In France, it's known as Mourvedre. Actually, in other parts of Spain, it's known as Monastrell, which really it makes life real easy if you're trying to figure out what the hell you're drinking. It's
it's
one of
the
those
same
things. It's the same grape, all the same grape.
Gotcha.
Oh, here he is. He's back again.
You're still
And
on
I'm
the
back, sorry.
Guess who's back?
Which is tasty.
Back again.
It is tasty.
Yeah, and the thing is though, you can drink that, and you're not feeling overly heavy. Like it's not a chewy through thing.
No,
It's
it's
just lovely.
delicious. And this
Now,
is
a few
delicious
years back-
GSM, by the way.
Yeah, a few years back, this was all these wines would have been oaked, except for obviously the rosé and the thing, but all the reds would have been oaked. They've actually pulled back a lot on the oak now because they're using older oak rather than actually putting any new oak to it. That being said, though, not long back, we had a GSM from these guys, and it ran rings around everything else because it had a touch of oak to the Shiraz. They'd actually put a Shiraz component in that had been oaked, threw that into it, and just that hint was enough to bring a bit of winemaking to it that was really lovely. When you're talking about wines, you talk about primary notes, and those primary notes are from the grape. So if you ever have esters, like fruits and things like that, they're all primary notes. Secondary notes are winemaking notes, so malolactic fermentation, any adjustments, acid adjustments, or even some fruit adjustments, some chaptalization, which is where you add sugar into it. We don't need to do that in Australia, but they do it around the world. And then you've got tannin adjustments as well. They're all winemaking notes. For the most part, though, the biggest winemaking note is generally oak. How much oak you put to it, and that's a secondary note. Tertiary notes are once it's been left in the bottle for a while, all those flavours develop over time to bring more flavours, and they lose acidity, they lose the tannin, but all of those go back into the wine and form this lovely, richer style of wine, or even just changing the fruit componentry to actually
Well, fruits
become
and
jammy.
skulls and everything else.
Well, they dull, or they can get jammy, or they can get nutty, or you get the herbal notes can turn into spicy notes. The oak notes can turn into sort of cedary notes, things like this. So that's tertiary notes. So when we talk about primary, secondary, and tertiary, that's literally what we're talking about. Primary from the fruit, secondary from the winemaking, tertiary from the age. That's the easiest way to think about it. This one is, again, generally stainless steel. So we're not looking at anything that's going to have big oak notes to it.
You got the Shiraz.
The Shiraz, yeah, but it's like a
The Grenache is there, but the Shiraz overrides it on the nose.
yeah.
So I would think that there's a fair whack of Shiraz in there. Be almost even, and a little bit of a
Yeah, I'd say probably 45, 45, 10 type thing. Mourvedre, but there's a fair bit of Mourvedre in there because I'm getting a lot of black fruit. Like,
So a bit of acid and a bit of tannin in there.
yeah. So when you're doing blends, you can literally pull apart blends. We've only got 3 grapes to work with here, so it's nice and simple. Grenache, we know what the Grenache looks like already. So we know there's a good portion of straight Grenache in there because it's got those appley notes. But it's got big red fruits coming into it as well. And it's got a lot more of those slightly spicier notes that you get from Shiraz. So we know that there's a fair bit of Shiraz in it too as well. I'm also getting quite a lot of Mourvedre.
yeah. Well,
So-
now I've tasted it at the back.
Yeah,
The
you get
Mourvedre must be bringing some more tannin.
much more tannin to it. Yep. So I reckon there's probably 20, 30, 50. I reckon it's probably much more towards that as well.
Oh, you.
Yeah, or 45, 35, 20.
Yeah.
I think there is a lot more Mourvedre than we thought. Isn't there?
So it's the Shiraz that has that like peppery spice.
Yep. And the Mourvedre brings a lot of tannin and black fruit.
Yeah. Cool.
The more tannin and black fruit you get, the more Mourvedre you get. So,
The city's still good.
the city is fantastic. Yeah. This is the thing. Like anyone that's at home going, oh, I like drinking wine, but I don't eat with it. It's like you're just losing out half the fun because it is just it takes what's in front of you here, and it just lifts it. Like it really does. You're mad if you don't have something to eat with it. So,
Particularly real peppery tomato.
oh yeah. Any more pepper on this, then yeah, it'll be a butthole surface.
There's a reasonable couple of shakes of cayenne pepper in that avocado too.
So again,
Great GSM, honestly.
it is really good. And again, for that 20 to 25 bucks, outstanding.
It's one of those ones, that one and that one, the last two, if you kind of go, what do I feel like drinking tonight? Bang.
Yeah, the other night I actually got Ros went, oh, do you want a glass of wine? I said, no, not really. And she's like, oh, why not? I said, oh, I just don't feel like it. Well, I'm not drinking by myself. I know, you do you, I'm easy. And then she cracked open Slurpee Puppy. And I'm like, oh, look, I'll just have a glass. So that bottle lasted that evening. That was done. It was gone. Yeah, it's just gone. Because it's so easy
You know
drinking.
who else is really good at cracking open soapy puppy? Aramex.
Yeah, good on you. Well done, Aaron. Yeah, but then they tell us that there's 2 bottles missing that we have no idea where the hell they are, and they said, but they didn't break them.
Didn't break them, but they were very tasty.
Oh, yes. Yeah, they were delightful.
Grateful.
Oh, I spoke to them today as well, too. Yeah. Right. Now, we're going to look at their straight Shiraz. Now, unlike the other 2 wines, I filled up my own glass twice. Don't worry about it.
There's one for me,
There's
and
one
one
for
for
me.
me, and one for
Who
me.
likes this one?
Yeah. What gave that away?
It's like when you're listing up the countries before that got wiped out. It's like, I'm sure he said hungry twice. He must be hungry.
Yeah. Hungry hippos. So, don't want to decide.
Are you going to try an aged one?
Aged one, yeah. Actually, speaking of which, it's actually not a bad idea to let your wine breathe. So, if you want to get more out of these wines, let them breathe. Open them, let them sit there for 20 minutes to half an hour, and they will change radically in the glass. The other option is to pour just a little bit there and do this. This is why you see all the winemakers do this. It's not just because it makes them look cool.
I was going to say wanky.
Yeah, wanky. It's not-
I'm better than
yeah,
you.
yeah. Look at me. I can get it to the top. I can get it to the...
Yeah, look at my white shirt.
Yeah, good white shirt. So this is the reason why, is that they're getting oxygen into the wine. So they're micro-oxidizing the wine, making it age quicker. And what this does is it'll actually allow the flavors, especially in an austere or a tight wine, the aromatics will come out. It'll actually, the bonds on the tight bonds that happen with paraffins and terpenes and things like that will actually break up, and actually you get more flavour, you get more integration, you get more of the wine essentially. However, that being said though, you've always got to be careful that it doesn't go too far where it becomes sherry. So it's a bit of an issue. It takes about 3 days generally for that. It's not unusual for me to have a bottle open at home and sit on the side for 2 days, and I'll be drinking it the 3rd day going, that's fantastic. 5th day, no, it's gone.
How necessary are those like fancy like glass things?
Oh, the aerators and decanters. Yeah, if you've got a good wine, you want to show it at its best. And we've had people buy wines from out here, $200-300 wines, and like they buy them in a 6-pack bottle. They'll buy 6 or 7 of them, And one day, the guy came and said, "Oh, I went and bought a wine from you guys, and it wasn't any good." I went, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Oh, I bought this $200 bottle of whatever it was." I said, "Oh, okay, that's unusual. I'm sorry that happened. What'd you do?" "Oh, I had it at a barbecue." I said, "Oh, did you have it at a barbecue, a week later?" And no, that night. So you bought the wine here, and then you took it from here, you cracked it and poured it for everyone, and they drank it, and they went, "It's not really that interesting." And he went, "Yeah." I went, "Okay."
Expensive lesson, but
Expensive lesson, but a lesson learned. He ended up buying this. I actually said, "Look, what if I promised you I can make the wine look absolutely stunning and amazing?" And he goes, "Oh, no, it was just ordinary." I went, "Okay. Because I had 3 bottles, I said, if I buy a bottle myself, I decant it, I'll pour you a glass, and if you think that wine's ordinary, no worries, man, I'll keep it and I'll drink it myself. If you think that wine's excellent, you buy the other 2 bottles and this bottle. And he's like, oh, okay, fine.
It's on.
Yep, $600 sale right off the bat. Literally just double decanted it, gave him a glass, and he went, holy crap, that's amazing.
This is not
Let
barbecue
your wine breathe. Let it actually be. If you're paying a lot of money, give it some respect. And
Open it, pour it
Open
into
it.
something, let it air out.
Yeah, really simple.
It's not that. That's the.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yep.
You've seen
And so there's aerating, and then even like aging it further, like buying a bottle like that and then sticking it in a cellar, or
Yeah, cellaring in a wine is always really good. And in fact, we've got wines there that we've cracked during tastings. And I've gone, how amazing is that? They need to be drunk though. Some of those wines probably are getting to their longevity point, particularly the MK2.
So we'll crack on that next
So,
barrel.
that's
look,
what we're having.
next Wednesday tasting.
We have 3 bottles left. We manage to sell 2 or 3 every year, but that is literally a blend of
That's this one.
of the best Shiraz from the Barossa Wine Show in the year 2000, blended together.
Oh.
That was the bug year, wasn't it? The Y2K.
No, the bug, yeah, the end of the world type thing.
Yeah, all computers are going to shut down because they can't click over to 2000. They're
And
going
they
to
did.
die at 1999.
And they did. Everything was fine.
So,
Good
anyway.
story.
Yeah, good story.
Needed more dragons.
Now, letting that have some air, that has opened up, there's lots of chocolates, red fruits. Oh, the chocolate notes in there are massive.
And some darker fruits there as well.
Yeah,
but
some darker,
I'm only noticing that so much because we've just done the Grenache blend,
yeah.
and now this is
Yep.
a lot deeper.
And remember, this is probably the thing that goes in the vat. So there is oak on this. So there must be a little bit of oak in there as well. Just enough to give it some interest, not enough to overwhelm it.
I'm getting the spice from this one.
Yeah. The other part that I find funny is that we talked about oak, and at some point I'd like to get someone from JP Cooper or one of the oaking the Cooper houses, the Cooperages, to come in and go through it with us. Because if you look at American oak, Kentucky American oak, if you look at ex-bourbon barrels, if you look at ex-sherry casks, whiskey casks, then you have virgin oak, then you've got American oak, that is, then you've got French limousine and tronquinays, then you've got, that's the 2 forests that they come from, there's actually a 3rd forest, I can't remember the name of it, then you've got Hungarian oak. They're all radically different, and winemakers do use them, all of them. Iconically, Jacob's Creek double barrel.
Yeah, I was actually going to say that
Yep.
myself. That is surprisingly bloody good.
We're not fans of Jacob's
really?
Creek, but that is really
The
good.
double barrel one's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is
The cab sav one, I like the double barrel cab sav.
Yep. So the Cab Sav is Jameson.
Yep. There's
The-
a reason I like that one there, isn't there?
The Shiraz is Chivas Regal. The
Interesting.
Another good whiskey.
yeah. Oh, because they own those or owned those. I don't know how they're going to do it now because Jacob's Creek is sold to Vinnicky, which used to be Vanguard or Accolade. They don't have access to these anymore. So I'll be intrigued to see what happens with the double barrel range. I reckon they probably will delete it.
Might do a deal.
No, I don't think they will. No, the Pernod Ricard is quite happy to keep their stuff because they'll literally use that barrel in something else that they do.
Alright.
So. Anyway, let's go back to the Shiraz we're looking at. So that's just fucking awesome, really.
Look, honestly, it's the last 2 wines, if you are struggling to think, I don't know what I want to buy, I want to spend $20, those 2 are outstanding. GSM and the Shiraz. Every time.
Yeah. And the funny part is, I could pull 2 bottles of other Barossa and Shiraz, radically different. One from Eden Valley would be massively different. One from the Western Ridge, massively different. Not saying they're any better or worse. I'm just saying they're just different.
Yeah.
And that's what we talk about with terroir. Terroir makes a huge difference in the world of wine. The French really understand it, really get behind it, really promote it. Australia, we have a tendency to go, this is what this area does. This is what this area does well. This is what we're doing. but they kind of let themselves down a little bit because there's no legislation around it, which is kind of good, kind of bad. Kind of good. It means you can always experiment, you can change, you're not caught by the market in doing one thing only. Kind of bad in that if I said to you, I'm having a Barossa Shiraz, what are you actually buying?
Yeah.
You can actually buy a wine from really well-known winemakers that say Barossa Shiraz, and you drink it and you go, oh, that's light.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fairly lean. Oh, that's very austere. When you know Barossa Shiraz is generally bigger, bolder, punchier. So yeah,
You said the word austere is interesting. Adams, when's the last time you used the word austere?
when he was working in the cattle yard, it was austere.
Oh, austere.
Yeah.
Austere.
Yeah.
When he's
I was driving lessons.
driving down
You
the
gotta
highway
steer.
with his arm around the girlfriend. Austere.
Ah. Oh wow! Sorry, every time I put like that in my mouth, it's chocolate.
Yeah. And
Just-
good, particularly after a bit of cheese.
And that's the thing. When you look at the flavours,
Peppery salt.
yes, I wonder why that is. So the other part is when you actually are staring.
It's a steer.
Whenever you're looking at wine, don't just notice the front palate. Literally take time to see what's in the back palate and the mid palate. Because the flavours, like initial punchy flavours will turn up. And the better the wine is, the more flavours there are, the more intense those flavours are. So if you were going to rate this wine, and we use a thing called the Blick, or the balance, length, intensity, and complexity as a really good way to judge wine. I think the balance is good, probably a little bit warming with alcohol. Lengthwise, it's great. Intensity-wise, yeah, there is some really lovely intense notes there. And complexity-wise, there's a whole myriad of flavours.
Going on, isn't it?
So, realistically, for $20 wine, you're probably looking at a 90 to 91 points. And that's amazing for a wine like that. 92, I'd probably go 92, yeah, 92 is good.
For $25.
For a $25 wine.
Because the little hit of alcohol it's not so unbalanced that you go, that's horrible. So you'd still give it 3 or 4.
Well, you'd probably give it 2.
Really? That's nice.
Well, you're only giving, really, 4... Essentially, you're giving 4 points for each.
4's the mass.
Yeah. 4 points for each. So, 2 for this, 3, and maybe 3. So what's that? 9, 11. So that's 91 points there. It doesn't have a wow factor to it. It's pretty good, but it's not wow. And
Out of those, what would you give
out
your
of
wow?
those, pardon?
Out of those wines, what would you give your wow?
Oh my wow, definitely this one. It's just
prime
got,
cup?
yeah, the prime. It's just so good.
It's also the biggest seller
Is
It
it?
is a,
in our
range,
Yeah, we sold easy.
that's the 3 Gardens
Twice as
there.
much as
Oh, no,
this
it's 3 Gardens.
as the other one.
That's 3 Gardens, that's prime card.
Yeah. So twice as much of those as we do now.
Andrew's moving on.
Yeah.
But
When I have to order Langmeil, I'm always filling the stack.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
gotcha.
I've got to order 3 cartons of that, one of that, 2 of that.
just about every night when I close up, I'm like, okay, Shiraz, I've got to fill the shelf up.
Yeah, for sure.
So realistically, at the end of the day, Langmeil is a great wine across the board.
It really is.
And you really can't, if you know what you're looking for, you know what you're after, they can pretty much do it for you. The only thing that they probably don't do is very light body wines. So Grenache, whilst light body, it's still going to be nowhere near as light bodied as you're going to get from a Pinot Noir or anything like that. But that being said, though, in this particular case, from Barossa, I'm not looking for a light-bodied wine from Barossa. I'm looking for a medium-bodied wine with good flavour, some punchy fruit to it, particularly. And Shiraz generally is a good example of it. The interesting ones for me is the 2 openers, because they're not styles that I would personally chase myself, but they've got a really big place in our store. Demographically, they really do.
We don't have a lot of that style left.
No, we don't. And it's good to see that a good producer can produce that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll probably be picking up
Yeah.
a Riesling later this week. 'Cause that was really nice and fresh.
Yeah.
And
Yep, it's
Easy.
really
You've
good.
only just got into drinking wine.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. But I've been drinking white. It's reds that I'm more going into. Like I do like a good Pinot
So
Grigio.
what do you think of the straight Grenache?
Yeah. That was out of the three. I think Grenache was definitely the easiest for me.
Easiest one,
Going.
yeah.
And then I did actually really like the Three Guns. The Prime Cut was the spice for me.
A bit too much for you.
a little bit too much. But
It's a palate growth thing too. You know, like people don't generally fall straight into Cabernet.
Well, I started with Andrew 17 years ago and I drank VB and Bummy rum.
yeah, true.
So,
Fair enough.
and now what
Now,
do you?
now I drink just about any wine I can approach.
Yeah.
And taste it and know why I like it or why I dislike it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's actually probably the biggest part. If you know why you like or dislike it, it makes our job so much easier. Because you get someone go, I like my wine, and if you use the correct lexicon, we will find you the perfect wine every time. If you're not sure of what you're saying, ask us. Because you're not going to get a good wine unless you actually ask questions.
Or you know what you're talking
Yeah.
about. Yeah.
I don't like the ones that really don't know what they're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
If people
I
don't know
want a dry wine. And I said, well, a Pinot Grigio is a good all-rounder, I agree. Oh no, I don't like sweet wine.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Not sweet.
Most of the time, if they sound like they don't know what they're talking about and they're just trying to use words to sound smart, I just point them to our best sellers.
Yeah. Probably the safest. Anyway, on that note, I think what's the wine of the day for you? Which one do you reckon, Dan?
I'm going to go Grenache. I really enjoyed it today.
I was going to say Grenache for me too.
Yeah.
That was a nice.
Matt?
Riesling. I actually
Riesling?
really like the Riesling.
Shady?
Shiraz, but the GSM's right up there.
Pick one.
Pick one. Go on.
Shiraz.
Shiraz? Yeah, I'm Shiraz too. So we've got
2 on 2.
2 on 2, so we've got 2 Grenache and 2 Shiraz. Well, I think on that note, we can
And a
safely
Riesling.
say that, and a Riesling.
This is Matt. He also works here.
Yeah.
He can't be on camera.
Yeah,
because-
there he
Hey,
is.
get off!
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
you're a dentist.
It's like Foo, he just turns up, hello. Anyway, on that
He's got a
note.
great face for radio.
Oh, brilliant.
That's
Right,
good coming from you there.
Yeah. And on that note, drink well, drink like a savvy. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. All right.
Smash.